Hi everyone, Emily here, and today's video I am calling it the Booktube Besties Virtual Retreat Made Me Do It. So this is a book haul, and last weekend I attended the second go around of there's 4 booktubers. They call themselves the Booktube's Besties. They are Krista from Books and Jams, Sarah from Sarah's Nightstand, Lindsay from Lindsay's Little Library, and Amanda from The Curly Reader. And this is the second go around where they've done a virtual reading retreat. And it was just, it started, excuse me, 7 o'clock my time on a Friday night, and it ended 7 o'clock p.m. on Saturday night. So 24 hours where we got together, we did reading sprints, we gave recommendations, we had some breakout rooms for different topics, and we play games, all centered around books. And so during the recommendation time, everyone had a chance to talk about a book that they love and recommend for others. So I decided to go in. I said, okay, I'm going to have this specific budget. And since Valentine's Day week was after this retreat, I decided I'm going to treat myself. I am my own Valentine as a single person. So I decided to treat myself, and so I did. So here's my haul, and then I'm going to do a follow-up after I've read all these books with my reviews. So the first book is the Bromance Book Club by Lyssa Kay Adams, and I've actually just read this yesterday. I needed something light, and I also heard this recommended on a recent episode of What Should I Read Next, which is a podcast done by Anne Bogle. If you haven't checked that podcast out, I totally recommend it. But at any rate, this is the story of Gavin Scott, and he's a professional baseball player. And he finds out that his wife of 3 years has been faking things in bed. And so their relationship has been strained, and then he finds that out. And then she says later, I want a divorce. And so he is taken under the wing of some of his friends from his team and from the community. And they're part of what's called the Bromance Book Club. And in this Bromance Book Club, they read romance novels. And they do that to get, excuse me, to kind of get relationship advice from those romance novels, to kind of know what what women think and feel, and how to best relate with them and interact with them and woo them. So this book was that's all I'm going to say about this book. I so want to go into a review on it, but I'm not going to. But when I heard of this concept, I thought it would be really fun and enjoyable. The next book I picked up was recommended in one of our recommendation sessions, and that is The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy by Megan Bannon. And the cover is so fun. And this is the story of Hart Ralston, and he is a marshal, and his job is to patrol the wilds of Tanria, and he's just kind of feeling lonely. And Mercy Birdsall is very busy. She is keeping the business Birdsall and Son Undertakers afloat, and she's doing this in defiance of Hart Ralston. And so Hart, after he kind of interacts with Mercy, decides he's going to just write this letter. He's addressing it to a friend, and then he receives an anonymous letter in return. And so there's a friendship that is born. And then the blurb says, little does Hart know he's bearing his soul to the person who infuriates him the most. I love enemies to lovers trope. I also love, like, we're communicating to each other secretly, like we're communicating to each other and developing this friendship, but we don't know that we're communicating to each other. I love that trope. So when the person who recommended this described it, I was intrigued. The next book, I'm sorry, I'm an asthmatic, so please forgive me. The next book I have kind of been toying with for a while. It's been around Booktube. I've seen a lot of Booktubers talk about this book, really enjoy it, and then someone recommended it. And that is Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. And what I know about this book is like Earth is dying, and so the human race needs to leave Earth because they cannot live on Earth anymore. So they follow like ancient star maps and they land on this planet thinking that this planet will be safe to land on, and it's like alien first contact, and yet that alien race is giant spiders. That's really kind of all I know. And I've just heard really good things about this. I've also heard really good things about Adrian Tchaikovsky and how he does sci-fi. He does like flintlock fantasy set in like Regency era time. Like he just kind of can, like what he writes is just, there's no one book that's like the same as far as like genre patterns. So I'm intrigued by that. I haven't read anything by him. I still need to read Guns of the Dawn as well. So I'm looking forward to reading this. Then the next 3 books I also bought, not only because they were recommended, but I was like, oh, they would fit perfectly for Reading Around the World challenge. So the first book, and this was actually recommended by the Bookish Knitter. Her name is Sarah, I believe. And she's got her channel. She does have a YouTube channel. And this book is The Stand-In by Lily Chu. And this author is from Toronto. So I toyed with using Margaret Atwood or Ella Montgomery for my Canadian author. But Margaret, excuse me, Margaret Atwood is like hit or miss for me. And I've read a lot of Ella Montgomery. So I kind of wanted someone new to me. So this book is about Gracie Reed, and we follow her. And her mother is ill, and she needs to find a different nursing home for her mom. I believe her mother is experiencing dementia, and as she progresses in the disease, she speaks in Chinese, and so Gracie wants to find a nursing home that would be able to communicate to her mother in her native language. And, but she can't afford that kind of nursing home. So she then somehow meets this, Chinese cinema couple, like actor and actress. And they've got a lot of social engagements coming up, like premiering videos and then just social functions. And the actress bears a very strong resemblance to Gracie Reed. And she hires Gracie Reed to kind of like stand in for her at some of these social functions because she just kind of needs a break and can't do all these social functions. And so Gracie agrees so that way she can have money for her mother. I've heard it's really cute and good. And so that's why I picked that up. Then the next book is The Decagon House Murders by Yukito Ayutsuji. And how this was described was like a Japanese take on, this is back up. So this is written by a Japanese author, and I don't have a book for Japan. I had some ideas, but the author that I was toying with using, I wasn't too intrigued by. But this is inspired by Agatha Christie's And Then There Are None, which I love, And Then There Were None. I've read it a couple of times. And from what I also understand, this book also kind of was the book that like led to the rise in the like cult classic mystery genre in Japan. And so this is set on an island, and there's a series of like bloody unsolved murders that have occurred on this island. So this K University Mystery Club decides to go to this island just to kind of experience the island and see what it's all about. And one of those club members turns up dead, and then they all then are like, oh man, we now need to try to figure out what's going on so we could get off this island alive. And I guess they get picked off one by one, just like, and then there were none. So I'm intrigued, because this is something that's, so the reason why I picked it was because, like, one, it was like, and then there were none, and then also just the fact that it, like, basically leads to the rise of a genre in Japan. And then last, I already do have a book for Spain, but I wasn't sure if I would like that book. Like, I've heard really good things about that book, and I've heard also really negative things about that book. And that people just didn't connect with it. So I wanted another option just in case I needed to switch that out. And so that's why I picked up Cathedral of the Sea by Ildefonso Falcones. And this was described as similar to Pillars of the Earth, which I loved Pillars of the Earth. I just did not read the other two books in the series. I'm sorry. But this is, our main character, I guess, is Arneu Estanyol. He goes to Barcelona, and there in Barcelona, they are constructing the Cathedral of Santa Maria de la Mar. And also at this time is the Spanish Inquisition that's going on. And so Arnau, I'm not going to pronounce his name right, Arnau, he joins the Stoneworkers Guild to help build the church. And he also is taken in by this family, and his adopted brother studies and he becomes a priest. And so Arnau prospers. He becomes friends with people in the Jewish population of Barcelona. He falls in love with a woman who is forbidden. And then he is hauled before the Inquisitor. So it just looked epic in scope. I love learning more about, like, the Inquisition and just different big movements where you're kind of like, why did something this horrible happen? Like, I'm intrigued by the psychology behind it and just why did it happen? I want to know more because I don't understand why things like this just keep happening historically. And so I just read these books to try to seek some understanding. And I honestly have not read much about the Spanish Inquisition and this time period in Spain. Like, I've read, I learned about it in history class in school, but not have done a deep dive. So that is my book haul from the Booktube Besties virtual retreat. I've already read one. I'm going to slowly work my way through these, and I'll do a follow-up video reviewing all of the books. But please let me know in the comments below what your thoughts are on these books. If you've read any of them, keep them spoiler-free. And as always, happy reading. Please like and subscribe.